Hey. Oh, I'm hearing feedback. All right. Good evening, everybody. I'm Dustin Coiner, and it's Talkin Motorbikes with the Superbike genius, Richard Stanboli from the Fresh and Lean Progressive Yamaha Racing Team, presented by Attack Performance. God damn, that's a
Yeah,
mouthful.
that's it. Is that feedback better?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay. Yeah, I had to switch it out from the monitor speakers to the whatever computer speakers.
Well, you just came off the Laguna week. Right?
Yeah, the emergency session and
Yeah.
the last minute made up session and the last minute rules and lack of communication and all that fun stuff. And everyone thought it was going to be canceled, but Rain Rainey said there's no way in hell it's going to be canceled. And
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I guess there was a SCCA, a huge car event the weekend prior, and man, it was like guns a blazing. I guess they got their event pulled the rug out from under it on Friday, right?
well, and there was apparently a team that rented the track. I heard
Oh,
from South Korea. I mean, the guys flew in and did all this
oh,
stuff, and they told them, "Nope, your day's gone. Later." Because it used to be run by Scramp. You know, that track was built by the Corps of Engineers way back in the day
yeah,
when Fort Ord was there, along with that golf course there,
yeah,
and so then they turned it over to Scramp, and then the county took it over. Now it's a park, right? It's got camping and all this other stuff,
right,
trails. So the county was spent a bunch of money repaving the track, and when the track started coming up, they pulled the rug out from underneath
yeah.
everyone. And said,
They hit
"Nope,
the
you guys
they
aren't
hit the
riding
reset
until."
button, dude. Yeah. I mean, I
Yeah,
guess
so
I guess that that car series was there, and I guess they had a bunch of like downforce cars, like LMP 2, 3 cars,
wow,
and
cars have downforce now, really?
yeah, I guess they had a bunch of downforce cars on brand new pavement. Like maybe they should have waited another week, like
Yeah, they probably should have moved that event.
yeah. So I feel bad for them. I hope they sort out the money because I know a 3-day no noise restriction event at Laguna is pretty pricey. So I hope they sort that out. But
Well, I mean, that's up to the county, right? Because it's
yeah,
county pulled the rug off from under them, so they can go to
yeah,
the county and say, "Hey, you guys screwed us out of this event, so we'd like to have another day."
yeah, another event, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So and then I guess you guys, there. I mean, there was people walking the track, taking pictures of parts of the track tearing up. I called you on Saturday with a report from somebody
Yeah,
local.
they were kind of overreacting because the motorcycles don't do the same stuff to the track. The cars really tore it up. They
Yeah.
put a bunch of bumps into turn three, which made it quite challenging. I think four had some bumps in it too. Wherever the cars would really push down on the asphalt, they kind of rolled it up a little bit.
Yeah.
And so yeah, they didn't wait long enough. It was kind of like a remake, not as bad as the 2000. Was it 2000? I think it was 6 or 7 when they
Yeah.
repainted right before MotoGP and the whole
Right.
hillside was drooping.
Right.
Like
Right.
the asphalt was coming in and the MotoGP was already there. I think that was one of the nails to the coffin of MotoGP going there anymore.
Right. Right.
Other than the fact that the track has zero runoff anywhere.
There's plenty of runoff. What do you mean?
You know how close the exit of 5 is to that air fence?
Yes, I do
I
because
think a MotoGP bike can reach
I
some substantial amount of speed, and if they crash there, they're hitting that air fence hard.
well, I know it all too well because last year with the CRA thing, I actually put the air fence there. So yeah, I'm really
It's right
knowledgeable.
there. I mean, you look down from that road on
Dude,
that
it's
fence.
awfully close. It's awfully close. Yeah.
Yeah, and you look from that road to the fence, and that track is right there. I mean, turn one area. I know they pushed it back already once or twice for Grand Prix and MotoGP every year. The FIM
Yeah.
standard changes a little bit, and to get that track recertified, even for World Superbike, I think it'll be a tall order.
Really. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, they do have the in turn 5 there is the gravel trap there that most of the bikes never make it past the gravel trap. That thing just buries bikes.
Yeah, it eats the motorcycles.
Oh yeah. 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 Yes it does. Yes it does.
Yeah, it depends on how much ahead of speed you have and what type of tumble the bike does when it gets off.
Right.
It
Right.
could tumble end over end past the traps into that fence. I can see it happening.
Oh, totally. Take out a dude at the stop sign on the other, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's you're right. I mean, there and obviously the bottom of the corkscrew gets the tire wall is pretty close there. Um, that's about it, really. I mean, I'd say it's pretty safe track for the most part. Exited two or exited two. The wall's pretty close right there.
I mean, if one's pretty wide, I think, but something they did, and all the riders commented about it. At least the riders I talked to, they said the one's a little more peaky now.
Oh, really?
So I don't know how they lay down the asphalt there, but they said it's more of a jump, and I know our guys couldn't go over full throttle, and we had some of the highest trap speeds there.
Right.
Between Jake and Cameron, our trap speeds are right up there. So I know the guys weren't trying to let off, but they said it was almost impossible to go over that thing full boogie like we used to. We used to be able just to use a little bit of rider aids, and they could almost go full stick over that thing in 6th gear.
Yeah.
So now it's not possible, and we have to actually gear our bike down because we had so much room over one. Turn one was always a limiting factor for how fast you can go, how you can set up your gearing, and I think we're at least a tooth shorter, maybe 2. And before we'd be hitting the limiter in 6 going over that thing.
Wow.
Yeah,
I mean,
so
I remember
for sure one was different.
I remember on Thursday, I think it was, Bobier was over there with Jake and I think Skultz. And I think Bobier said it. He's like, man, this track's got way too much grip to be this unpredictable. I was like,
yeah,
I don't even know what that means.
Yeah, it's hard. I don't know what he meant by that. I think the front.
Yeah.
Everyone struggled with the front, the vagueness of the front, and the track had a lot of grip. So with that, you had imagine a go-kart that has a lot of grip in the back. If you're a heavy guy and you're sitting on the back, and every time you turn the front wheels, they don't steer.
Yeah.
That's how. I mean, like going in a corner, coming out of the corner. That's the way the bikes were.
Oh wow.
The rear was glued to the asphalt, and the front was just hopping over it, or would hop over the bumps, or slide over it. Would just get shoved like smearing. It was always like an understeer, and so it took us past the first day to understand the character of the track and what it was asking for, and it was quite different than what we run in the past.
So basically,
and that's why in Q2,
the new pavement rendered all your old data useless.
Yeah, pretty much. Same at Road America.
Yeah.
The new pavement and the hard tires, because you had to run hard tires. It was kind of useless to run a soft tire. Like even the Q was okay, which was our normal race tires, R3.
Yeah.
Which was a 129 compound. It was okay, but you could do the same lap time with the other tire. What did Jake do? A 23 flat, I think, or he did 23.3 on the R8.
Yeah.
I think he did a 23 flat on the R3. I think Cameron Bobby did a 29.9 or something like that, or 9.6.
Yeah, 22.99, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember. He was in the 22.9s.
Yeah.
So anyway, it was it was a little bit challenging. The bike balance had to change a lot. There was no rear steering the bike, so we had to induce some rear steer in the motorcycle. So it takes some of the load off the front tire, and it actually paid off for us. It just took the riders a long time to get into the rhythm of trusting that front tire.
Yeah.
Because there was so much shoving of the front tire going on early on that it takes you a little bit to go, oh, okay, it's stuck. But at the end of race 1, for instance, our front tire looked brand new. And I think Heron's tire was pretty torn up, and I can't remember who was in third. Was it PJ?
Oh,
was it Escalante, race 1?
Let me take a look. I have the results right here.
So no one really cared unless you win.
Yeah, it was PJ. It was PJ.
PJ. So both those guys, their front tire was pretty shredded, but ours looked really, really good. So I think the amount of work we put into it the first day paid off for the rest of the weekend. It's just that we didn't, the rhythm didn't come.
There was another thing too. You were mentioning about turn 1, and I think it was Jake, and I heard I think Cam P said something similar, and Skultz as well. But they were talking about like the rear basically off the ground in turn 1, like The bike
Yeah, you
was
could bunny hop turn
yeah, it
one.
was like doing a bunny hop, and I'm like, wait a minute. I was like trying to wrap my head around like 150-mile-an-hour bunny hop. Like, what is that?
160.
Is that like Isle of Man? Like,
Yeah, it was one. I mean, the times, the track speeds were like 155 to 160.
yeah,
That's climbing the face right before the top. So even if
yeah,
they're rolling off, they're still going 150, like you said,
yeah,
going over that thing. They
yeah,
try to neutral throttle it and try to keep the speed, but it was pretty tough. I mean, yeah, Cameron Peterson came in one session. I think it was in Q2,
yeah.
and he was pretty white faced, and he was like, "Wow, that was scary." I guess the thing, both wheels came off the ground, and he got a pretty big tank slapper on the way down.
Yeah,
He got chucked him off it.
yeah. So it seemed like, just I'm just on the weekend, right? I was just Jake's umbrella girl, basically, right? But it seemed like the boys. It seems like it took the team quite a while to get going. I mean, it was like, Thursday was whatever. You guys were trying to figure out the track character and all of that. You guys had like an hour session ish, right? On Thursday. I think only Superbike and Super Sport were allowed to ride on Thursday, right? I believe.
Yeah, Superbike and Super Sport.
Yeah.
Superbike first, Super Sport second, and they did have the 8 or 10 guys at different intervals ride on Tuesday.
Yeah.
But that information is pretty useless because we didn't even get a chance to run on the race rubber. All it was and the rubber they did allow us to run was just shredding in 2 laps, 3 laps.
Okay.
It was R3s and I think R3 or R5 front, and they weren't even going but a short distance.
Yeah.
So that whole Tuesday thing, and it was in the morning, it was cold, and it went till 1, I think. So it started at 9 and went to 1, and the track was super cold. It was super dirty. So anyone that was jealous of us showing up and doing that, they're welcome to do it for us next time, because I'd rather have somebody else figure it out.
Nice. Yeah, like you said,
all it did was unlock some information, and of course that information was disseminated to everyone else, which was, hey, a little bit of higher pressure in the rear seemed to keep the tire alive than the normal pressures, and the grip kept coming, which we learned from 8 o'clock till 1 or 9 o'clock, 9:30, whatever it was, till 1:15. That the grip kept coming, and that the track kept getting better. At the end, I think Jake was able to do it 1 or 2 24s.
Yeah.
But it was so far off the pace from the normal thing.
Yeah.
So it was just, as far as getting this, that setup that we had to put on the bike was so different than our normal setup. Our bike is normally really good at these crappy American tracks. So limited grip, bumpy, cracks, potholes, just a typical American track.
Like we were racing at Thunderhill and Buttonwillow, we'd be styling.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
But that's why Buttonwillow is always a good payoff for the tracks we go to.
Yeah.
And because they all got patchwork, they all have cracks, they're all in areas where there's a bunch of weather, like Brainerd that we're going to next.
Yeah.
So our setup is quite different for those tracks. We're always trying to produce grip. And so we've gotten pretty decent at producing grip with a low grip track. Then we go to a place like Laguna when there's oodles of grip.
You said oodles.
Yeah, oodles. Lots and lots of oodles.
Okay.
I don't know what that means, but it's a lot.
Apparently, it sounds like a lot. It sounds like a lot.
Yeah, oodle is a big number. But anyway, so there's a big, gigantic number of grip there. And all the bike wants to do is at full lean, wheelie and push the front tire out of the way.
Yeah.
So it takes a little more than just 9 laps to get that set up right.
Right.
Especially where we're at, I think that also the track was a pretty big advantage to guys that like a 600 style of riding, not the stand it up and shoot off the corner guys.
Yeah, I think
the guys
saying that.
Big.
I think I heard you saying that. Jake.
Yeah.
Jake's kind of like a motocross guy, right? Like he, goes in there, stops the thing, and then picks the thing up and
fires it
like
off
a
there.
cannon, right?
Yeah, and that works with our crappy bumpy tracks. But then you get to a world-class level track where you have smooth, lots of grip, and you can brake really hard with the front tire and carry that momentum. it kind of lends itself to guys who have more 600 style. Like Richie Escalante did really well there. He did really well at Road America, if I remember right. He was in the game. Heron, he's always been like more of a 600 guy, the Superbike guy.
Yeah.
And and all these tracks that offer that type of grip, he did really well at. Bobier came off of Moto 2. You know, I know from looking at his data from our bike that he was going to do really well there. I knew he was going to be a big challenge to defeat there.
Yeah.
And I think Jake did a pretty decent job considering the obstacles that we had.
Yeah. I mean, there was walking around the paddock, there's still all season really, there's like quite a bit of chatter of stick a fork in the R1, it's done, you know, it's old, it's a pile now, you know. And that's, you know, Jake, I mean, you know, I could read you the comment that one of the guys sent me, but basically it's Jake's boring to watch. Basically called Peterson stupid for taking out Cameron in race 1.
Yeah, he did that on purpose. We paid him.
Yeah, the dude talks smack on Schulte and Escalante, and then basically crowns Bobier the champion because he's already, according to this guy, he's already the champ. So
yeah,
I guess we should just stay home, right? I guess we should just stay home.
Yeah. I mean, just shows you how wrong Greg White was, because he said that. I mean, I always tell him, dude, you're terrible at predicting these things, because last year, I mean, what was it? 21. He said, man, with Bobier gone, it's going to be just it's going to be an all-out fight for who's going to win. It could be anybody out of the top 5 or 6.
Right.
And Jake goes out, wins like 16 in a row and 17 total, and smashes all of Bobier's track records just about, except for one.
Yeah.
Laguna Seca. You know, so
because he's got a big number 1 plate on his bike for 2 years for no reason, right? I mean,
yeah, exactly. He didn't earn that.
Yeah.
So he didn't beat a MotoGP winner, and he didn't beat a World Superbike winner. He didn't beat any of those guys. That didn't happen.
Yeah, totally.
And he didn't actually beat Bobier at Road Atlanta. He didn't beat him at Barber either. Apparently, that didn't exist.
Right.
Where was Bobier at Barber?
Looking for a frame.
Well, you know, and that's the other thing too. Those guys were allowed a special frame from World Superbike, and this is where it gets kind of weird, the rules, because that special frame and some of the mods they have done to it was a one-off for World Superbike, because they allowed the BMWs, because they were sucking so bad in World Superbike, they allowed the BMWs a few special parts.
Right.
You know, so I can't remember what the hell they call that. They always call it something, you know.
Concession.
Concession, yeah. Special concession frame. So they allowed them a special concession frame, but our rules are not the same rules as FIM. So Teague, I don't know if he understands how our rules even work. You know, because everyone kind of points towards World Superbike, but then they say we're not World Superbike. Then we're World Superbike, then we're not World Superbike. So which one is it? Because we have our own rule book, and nowhere in there does it allow some of the things that are done in that frame or special concessions.
Right. And
some of the stuff is kind of gray area. So we're not going to protest that frame and do stuff like that. But I just thought it was kind of ironic that it needs those special parts, like that special frame, to keep up with our stick of fork in at R1.
I mean, they're doing a good job. You know, like you said it from the jump of the season. You said they were going to be tough, and you know, with Bobier there, you know, it's going to.
I think it's more Bobier than PJ, and it's, you know, Heron's Heron. He's a good second place finisher for the most part. He might win one here and there, and I said that as well. You know, he's a second, third place finisher. And he's riding really well this year, better than I thought. Actually, surprised me.
Yeah,
me
too.
And I think he's very focused. And where, you know, with him, it's a mental thing. He's the sole rider on that team.
Yeah.
When he was the sole rider on our team, he did rather well, right?
Yeah.
We almost finished second in the championship. If we didn't break our bike in half in Utah, we'd have got second in the championship. We'd have beat Elias.
Yeah.
So that was Bobier, Tony Elias, and Heron on our bike, and then we got on the podium every single weekend, pretty much. And so I think that's in the cards for him. But I started thinking about that, and I think it's because he's the sole guy and gets all the attention. When he came back on our team with Jake, like he thought he was going to go out and just rip it, and show Jake, shred Jake. But then Jake started winning all those races, and he couldn't do the lap times that Jake could. And so he was like, started searching for answers as to why.
Yeah.
I want the 2018 bike. I want this. I want my other gas tank. I want my other shock. I want my other linkage. I want my other. Yeah. So we ended up building him that at the end, and it didn't work.
Well, the thing is, like, in 2021.
So to finish on him.
Yeah.
So now he's on a team where he's once again the sole guy. Like he did pretty decent in 20 with Scheibe's bike, right? I mean, he's a top 5 runner on a bike that's clearly was dated back then.
Right.
So
I think it's the same bike Aaron Yates is right, or Ashton Yates is riding right now.
Yeah. Right. Well, it's had some more parts put on it since then, but when Heron started riding, it was fairly limited as far as special parts.
Yeah.
Even the forks and stuff were not the latest, greatest, or the brakes, or the swing arm, all that stuff, right? All the electronics. So Heron ended up doing fairly decent with that thing. Again, sole rider on the sole team. Like one single rider getting the attention. So I think he does well in that parameter. Where he's the sole guy.
Yeah, I was saying that. It's, as a fan, it's good to see that dude kind of switch on. We haven't seen that version of Heron since 2018. So. That's true. He looks like that aggressive, go-getter guy from the jump now.
Yeah. In race 3, when Bobier caught him past him, he didn't give up. He smashed it back in there. So that was some good racing that they did there. Yeah. And then Jake from way behind, that was pretty good too. Turned some really, really good laps at the very end.
The announcer guys totally missed that too. It's like I didn't see that talked about anywhere about.
Who's the announcer guy?
Greg White and Jason. They didn't talk about Jake's. They kept talking about how impressive the other two guys were, but Jake came from 3 seconds back and ran those.
Yeah, Jake. I mean, I don't know. We want to talk about race 3 or race 1 or race 2?
It doesn't matter. Like, we'll talk about that later, I guess. I mean, we have I have a bunch of comments too coming in. So let's kind of address those first before we move forward. Like, let's see. Somebody's asking you to make attack rear sets for the new BMWs.
Yeah, that's in the cards. We're so, our machines are like fully overloaded, so I've got to get some new equipment, and that's in the cards.
And then let's see, Bearded Jixer. He asks, what was the?
Dude, that's the one name I always remember. Bearded Jixer.
Yeah, dude.
I just picture a GSXR with a beard.
Oh, he rides a GSXR and he's got a big old beard, this guy.
Yeah.
But he was saying
yeah.
He wants to know what the brake issue was with the Westby bike and Jake's bike during qualifying.
The brake issue?
I don't remember a brake issue on either of them.
You mean like broken?
No, he says braking issue. I don't know.
Braking issue?
I don't remember one, but
maybe you can be more specific.
Yeah, maybe. And then let's see.
We didn't have a braking issue. Maybe it was getting a feel for the brakes. Maybe that's what he's talking about, like how hard he can push the front tire.
That could be.
And I think I answered that, and it was all in the character of the track, the hard tires, and the balance of the motorcycle that we had to spend a lot of time on. I don't know if that's what he's talking about. And
then Bob Adams was talking about. He says the repave situation sounds similar to the Barber repave in 2019 that took a year, to get enough rubber down.
Yeah, that was 2020, the Barber repave.
Yeah,
because that's when we were first rode out there with Cam Bobier. We did a test, and then there was a repave. Then we showed up, and all the tires shredded, and we had to do some tricky stuff there to get the bike to work there too. Yeah, but this I think was worse.
Okay, and so here's one that says Motor America killed me this past weekend. They had like 100 hooligan and bagger races and no stock 1,000. I actually heard a lot of fans wondering what the hell is going on with that.
Stock 1,000?
Yeah, they're like, how come there's no
World Superbike did away? World Superbike did away with stock 1,000. I think that class is kind of dead.
Okay.
I think that if you're going to race a leader bike, might as well race a Superbike.
Yeah, I think Kyle Wyman said that on the show once. He's like,
Yeah,
yeah,
I think there's not much in this in the stock thousand to be achieved, and the super sport class is I don't know what's going on there with the balancing rules. I mean, I hate bagging on Motor America because I like the series and I like participating in it, but man, they do some stupid shit sometimes. It's unbelievable.
yeah,
Like all of a sudden on Thursday, I'm told, oh, by the way, you can run a fully ported cylinder head and for your R6. I'm like, how about a little heads up? Why would you tell someone that on the Thursday of the race?
right.
How about a bulletin emailed to everyone, not just magically appearing on the Motor America website, like the special consideration parts they gave the Suzukis. No one knew about those things until it appeared on their site.
Right.
But the Suzuki team was planning that for a while.
Right.
So why not be transparent? So then you find out, well, Josh Hayes has been lobbying for something because he keeps getting drilled, and so they finally gave him full porting, which we thought that's the way it should have gone from the beginning because that's the way World Supersport is. The argument last year by Teague was, well, we can't be the same level as World Supersport because they want us to be a lower level. I said, why? You're trying to get those guys to help you balance the bikes with all the software and stuff, but you won't let the Yamahas have the same level of performance as World Supersport.
Right.
So what's that going to do for the Yamahas? They're going to be slow, right? They're doing all the balancing there. Oh no, we're going to balance it too. So they come to Daytona and they take data from our bike and they go, okay, we've got a good run, so now we're going to balance the rest of the bikes with that. But not everyone builds the same kind of motorcycle, so it's a little bit strange. And I guess next year they're talking about having a kit head from YME, Yamaha Europe, because they're intimately involved with the Supersport class there in World Supersport,
right,
or whatever they call it now, Next Gen Supersport. And so there's supposed to be a special head, and all the R6s that's all they can use is this kit head, and it's supposed to be somewhat reasonable on CNC machine on. So we'll see what kind of power that produces, and that's the actual balancing they're going to use in World Supersport, which they should have done in the first place here. Then they wouldn't have had special balancing just for Motor America. Because when those guys start, making their little agenda for how they're going to do their work, Motor America goes as second tier to World Supersport. They're really worried about that series over there.
Right.
So anyway, back to why do they keep doing weird stuff? I don't know. Like show up on a Thursday and say, oh, by the way, you can run a ported cylinder head. Oh, let me get the grinder out and grind my ports open and get the JB well from the Home Depot and let's start packing some of that stuff in the port. It doesn't work that way. It takes time to flow ahead and come up with a proper combination, which is really strange because when Motor America first started, there was World Supersport rules. When Joe Roberts and those guys were riding, or even, on Means team, remember it was Aaron first and Joe Roberts, all that stuff was ported. Epoxy ported. I think Vance Hines did some of those heads. We did some of them. All that stuff was all ported. And then they go backwards in time, and then they go forwards in time again.
Yeah.
So sometimes I don't understand the logic. I don't know if they understand the logic. That's the problem.
So Pinky's saying that in 2008, AMA pole at Laguna Seca was at 23.1 and second was 23.2. How are today's bikes slightly quicker?
Only slightly, you mean?
Yeah.
What was it? What year did he say?
08.
Matt Mladen days?
He said 08. Yeah, I guess that 08 was still Mladen, right?
Yeah, the tires were different for sure. Those were the Intex.
Yeah.
That Dunlop, they came from the UK.
Okay.
So then when they went to DMG, they turned all the tires over to Buffalo. And then Dunlop, there was and I think Dunlop was owned by a different company at the time. Goodyear, maybe.
Goodyear, yeah.
Yeah, now it's Sumitomo. So there's some stuff going on, and I think the rubber here is, you could talk to one of the Dunlop guys, they could answer this better than me. But for sure, with the performance of the tires, and also the engines back then had a little bit more capability. In other words, you could do more stuff to them. So when I went to DMG, the tires changed, all the Buffalo tires, and they were awful. And since then, they've been trying to improve them. This is where we're at now.
Yeah.
So they've almost played catch up with the rubber, even though the bikes are better.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
This is an interesting question from the guy's name is Brennan. He says he's got a couple of inquiries. He says, number one,
Okay.
did Cam P hit, quote, writer's block, as in writer, R-I-D-E-R?
Rider.
He seems a bit off in his own head. And then number two, do you think Ducati is prepping Xavi for a Superbike next year with a prep season?
Yeah.
Supersport?
So probably yes on both of them.
Yeah.
I know that Cameron's had a little bit of a rough run, so he really wants to show himself because his contract's up. So you got to think that mentally he's thinking, I gotta win. I need to show my speed, and he has speed. You know, qualifying, he was with it. He did a 23.5. So put him. I mean, he's not slow whatsoever. No. You know, so he's a top 3 guy all the way.
Yeah.
It's just this year I think he's overcompensating. You know, I had to talk to him a little bit about the thinking too much about history. You know, and he's having some trouble with his wrist. So there's a little bit of physical stuff going on, as well as a little bit of mental stuff with holding on to certain things too long. Like when he had a really great start in race 1, he went around the outside of Beaubier.
Yeah.
You know, cut back inside. I think he touched the curbing on the inside, lost the rear, lost the front, crashed. So that's a pretty common crash in turn 2, you know. And did I say 1? I meant 2.
Yeah.
So Beaubier was on the outside of him, which is really a bad place to be on that corner. How many guys have been taken out on the outside of 2? It's countless.
Every year,
yeah.
Couple.
Every year, somebody gets taken out. I mean, I had, what was it? Rapp take out Davies, you know, on the Kawasaki's on the exit of 2 or right in the middle of 2. They both somebody got together with Rapp, pushed him into Davies, and they both went off the racetrack. Can't remember who fell or what happened, but that stuff has happened over and over and over again. And notice in race 3 or race 3, Cameron didn't go on the outside. Peterson repeated the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
Got a really good start, drove around everyone, over 1, and went into 2, took the lead. And this time around, Bobby is like, nope, I'm not going on the outside. And he waited till turn 5 to make the pass. So I think I don't want to put it on Cameron Bobby. He was kind of a shitty place. And if I was his crew chief, I'd be like, dude, don't go out there. You know, don't be on the outside of someone in turn 2, especially if someone's going for it, like Cam P. He was just going for it. He wanted to check out. That was his mentality. And that crash cost him race 2, because in race 2 he was just thinking about nothing but that crash. I had to sit him down and talk to him and say, look, man, you're a racer. As soon as that stuff's over, you got to forget about it.
Yeah.
You got to learn from your mistake and move on.
The short-term memory loss definitely.
Cam Beaubier, he had a big crash then. You know, he rode over our bike, tumbled, and did a pretty good number on his bike. And race 2, he came back with a vengeance, right?
Yeah, he sure did. Yeah.
You know, he didn't think about what happened then. And that comes with a lot of experience too. I've seen Cam Beaubier have some big crashes. I mean, Moto 2 last year, it gets pretty discouraging. He had a lot of crashes, right? Last year before. And every time you got to just keep pushing. You know, it's real easy to get bummed out. Yeah. And so that's one of the things that I think Cameron's doing. And what was the other part of that? Rider block or something? And
do you think that Cam's got rider's block?
Yeah, a little bit. And then there was another thing that they asked too. I said yes for both of them.
Yeah. Well, you just kind of went through that whole thing about.
Yeah. Okay.
So
I forgot.
We're good.
I must have owner's block.
Oh yeah. I think you need to turn off your listening.
Turn off my brain a little bit.
You know, like you turned off the rider communication device. You know?
Yeah, I'm wondering if I'm getting Alzheimer's or something. You know, somebody asked me for my phone number the other day. I couldn't remember it.
Yeah, why do you need to know it? You just have it on your phone.
Yeah, and I kept looking through my phone, like, it's in the settings somewhere. What's my number? I forgot where it's at. So I'm like,
here,
yeah, my number.
let me call you. Like,
Yeah, give me your number.
yeah,
If
give
I
me your
like, I don't
number.
know
I'll
my
call
number.
you.
I was like, am I getting Alzheimer's?
Oh
I'm going
man,
into that. More coffee. I think I got so much crap in my head that all that other stuff is meaningless.
And then Sean Williams says, it seems like the Westby crew is having a lot of electronics and attention to detail problems. Any idea what's going on with that team?
I don't think so. I think there was some stuff that came up. I'm trying to think of the problems they had at Laguna. At the end, I think that the Matt was going pretty decent.
Yeah.
Attention to detail. I mean, their bike's pretty good. Freddie, who's doing electronics now, Freddie from SBU.
Yeah.
We give him a hand all the time, but there has been some odd things.
Their bike, I remember hearing him saying his bike, it's like his bike forgot what sector it was in. So it was giving him sector 1 electronics in sector 3 and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so they had some of their sectoring stuff backwards or upside down or sideways, I don't know. So they're getting information from, so they have the same tool manual that we have. And so they were using some information from there, and they were getting some information from Morelli, and they're getting some information from us. And everyone does it a little bit different. Morelli told them, oh, make this. And so they have what's called, I think, I forgot what it's called now, but it's like the track distance maximum.
Right.
So they had that, and it was set to a lower number than the actual sectors were. So that confused the logic in the ECU. So the logic in the ECU was it wasn't allowing the distance or the lap to reset when it went by the beacon. It thought the beacon was false. So it reset on the next beacon, which was somewhere out in the middle between 3 and 4. And that's where turn 1 started. So yeah, if you can screw things up in these electronics by just punching in whatever you want. And so I think that was just a mistake, because I think Freddie was getting a lot of input from different directions.
Right.
And then he came to us, and I thought we kind of fixed that after the first day, Thursday, whatever it was, or the first section on Thursday. But then attention to detail, I don't know what else they had going on. I remember that, and I know they were struggling for a setup for that track as well as us, because of the amount of grip it had and what it did to the R1 chassis. It wasn't really just particularly the R1, but I think it hit us the most because we have been working on setups that work on shitty bumpy tracks. Right. So, so if you make a bike that goes over shitty bumps really well and accelerates, it didn't work too well at Laguna with a bunch of grip and smooth,
That makes
sense.
So
you had to go pretty far. So I think they had the same type of thing. And when they come and ask, we share information with them. When they don't ask, we're busy doing our thing. So the information doesn't always go there. Or do they want to use it? Because they're their own team, so they want to do their own thing a lot of times.
So you've talked about it, trying to get the bike set up for the character of the new surface, right? So so that's basically where the boys were at on Friday, right? Because like I said, it looked like they were a little bit off, and then Saturday morning.
Well, we never got a chance on QP. FP1, I think we're okay. We were right there. I don't remember where we finished, but on QP1, they had a red flag, so we never got a chance to do a fast lap.
Okay.
So it was like 4 minutes to go, I think, and they chucked a red flag.
That's right. Campy was on pace. At the red flag, Campy was on pace to be like P2 or P3, and then the red flag came out.
Yeah, it wasn't going to be P1, but he was on pace to P2 when they called it. That lap didn't count. He couldn't finish the lap. So I wouldn't say that's quite accurate. And Jake was still in the pits getting ready to roll out. Right. He just put rubber on. So we were on the same rubber all session long in QP1, like whatever long that is, like 45 or 50 minutes. We were on the same rubber all the way to the last 5 minutes. We're saving it. And it just didn't work out for us. So we're 6th and 7th. It's really easy to go down when the guys are that tight. When the track has that much grip, the lap times are really tight. Yeah. Because no matter what that one fool said about Jake has done and this and that, it takes a lot of talent to do the laps he did on shitty, crappy, bumpy tracks.
Right.
That fool doesn't know what he's talking about at all. Zero.
Well, you gotta.
And he has no knowledge of history either. It just happens that Jake beat Cameron's track records on the same motorcycle. So I guess he's not as good a rider as Cameron. Is that what he's saying? Dude's a fool, whoever that was.
Couch potato crew chiefs, man. Come on, man.
So he's a putz.
Putz. Wow. Okay.
You know what that means?
He's a dick.
Yeah, it's Yiddish for he's a penis.
Yeah.
Putz is a penis. I had to look that up as I hear it a lot. You're such a putz.
So
like, where'd that come from?
Saturday morning, I went and I'm
the guy would probably come over here and shoot me.
I'm the bicycle dummy, right? So like I went out and did my longer bicycle ride Saturday morning. So I totally missed qualifying, and I guess you guys figured everything out because pace looked good for both guys. Yeah,
I wouldn't say we were perfect, and I think that at the end you had to the riders had to throw caution to the wind to get up there.
Yeah.
So Cam did a 23.5, I think, and Jake did a 23 flat to Cameron's 22.9 or whatever he did.
Yeah.
I don't remember. He went pretty fast. Cameron went pretty fast. And again, I knew that was going to be a really great track for Cameron because he was so fast on our bike there.
Yeah. I mean, it's I do remember hearing like quite the discussion with Jake and the gang about.
And honestly,
yeah,
I thought we would go there with a points deficit. I mean, leave there with not a points deficit, but we would lose some points in that event. I figured we'd win one and maybe lose two. Have some pretty good racing. So race 2 was pretty good until Cameron decided to pull the trigger, and then, like I said, I think it was all about confidence because there wasn't much difference between race 2 and 3 for Jake, and he was turning the fastest laps at the end, catching those guys. He caught both those guys, and he pulled up alongside Cameron on the last lap, right? Going down the front straight. I think he could have, if he'd gone another couple laps, I think he would have got him. Of course, he'd been tough to pass, but I think Jake was really driven. He passed Heron fairly easily.
Yep.
Yeah, if it wasn't for that stupid penalty, I think would have.
Right. But I did, on Saturday, or I guess Friday night, I got to hear quite the discussion about the plan for Saturday morning and for the next qualifying session. And you guys were really adamant about making him aware of how little time he has. Like he wanted to do a longer run on the tire he wanted to race on. And they're like, and you guys are like, no, dude, there's no time for that. So,
the way the tires work, the amount of time, it was definitely you have to really plan it out what tire you use when because you run out of time.
Right.
I saw that at Ridge. I think he didn't have a chance to run his tire at Ridge.
Okay.
And I've seen that a couple times where a guy will come in and he won't get to his last tire because they spend too much time in the pits.
Yeah. Another thing I made note of, and actually used it on the picture to promote this video, but I noticed that.
What's that with
it's the picture of you with the track map talking to Cam Pete.
Oh, I thought it was Shrek and Donkey.
No, I didn't use that one for that. I used that one for just to make fun of us, right? But that's kind of funny, right? I should pull that up.
Yeah, I should put that up there because basically, my wife says I look like Shrek, and you definitely look like an ass. So you are a donkey.
Thanks, Dick.
Yeah, putz.
Yeah. So one of the things I noticed, and I'll watch Jake do this in the rig too. He walks up with the track map, points on it, and says, "I want a little more here. I want a little bit more. Give me a little bit more." He said EB, engine braking, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
He's like, I need a little more EB right here. I need a little less wheelie here. A little bit more power here, and then he walks away. Is that how it is? I mean, we
sometimes
we instruct new racers and stuff to come out and if you're having trouble, bring me a track map and tell me where you're having problems. And some people think they're kind of too cool for that, but you guys are doing it every weekend at every track.
No, there's nothing too cool about that. MotoGP guys do it. World Superbike guys do it. If you think you're too cool for that,
right?
You're a putz.
Right on.
I'm gonna use that word a lot. It's the word of the day.
It's the word of the day. Wow, man.
The Yiddish word of the day.
Oh, dude. Yeah. So that's basically how it is? The riders come in and just point out the areas where.
Well, we have track maps on right in front of the rider. We have track maps in the toolboxes. We have track maps on our clipboards. We have track maps, on our laptops. The data produces a track map.
Right.
So the track map you need it. You'd be spending a lot of time going, okay, throttle here, that's turn 1, that's turn 2, that's turn 3. Oh yeah, that's right here. Is this where you're talking about?
Yeah.
So yeah, the rider will point out something, or we'll pull out the track map and say, show me exactly where you're talking, because a lot of times the rider will talk in generalities. I'm having a front push. Okay, show me where the worst part of that is.
Okay.
And then you can analyze, is the front loaded, not loaded, what's happening with suspension velocities, what's happening in the front, what's happening in the rear, how's the balance like, what are the forces like? And then you can start thinking about, okay, what's happening dynamically to the tire? And you can start changing the chassis to go that direction. And sometimes you can't be slow about it. If you do like little tiny changes, like, preload or this or that. I mean, we changed pivot, we changed springs, we changed heights, we changed top out springs, we changed all kinds of things. And that all has to happen to have to make a decision. And a lot of times it's everything at once before the next session.
Oh, wow.
If the rider's not comfortable, you have to make them comfortable. That's what gets the lap time.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, and sometimes you have to do a big circle, like we got there, we knew what kind of fork springs we ran last year. They're quite stiff. We had to soften up the front to get the rider to go over those bumps in 3 without feeling like he was going to skip across them and crash. So once you got that confidence, then you go, okay, why do we have to do that? Was that better? Okay, let's put some more load on the front or take some load off the front, whatever the case may be. And then you start heading back to where you were. And at the end, we were right where we started on the fork setup. Just the heights and the balance of the bike was different. So and you have to do that in a matter of laps. You might only get 9 laps one session. You might get 10. You might get 15. I don't think anybody did race distance until race 1.
Wow.
Those tires didn't heat cycle very good either. The rear did, but the front did it. They would go and they would grip, but they would shred because of the track.
Yeah, I noticed a graining on the tire that looked unusual.
Yeah, ours didn't have any of that at the end, right? Because we worked on the balance. Even Hunter, our Dunlop guy, was like pretty amazed at the podium. Said, "Wow, that's the best looking tire that you guys have had all weekend." And I think it was the best looking tire out of all the bunch that were on the podium. But we worked pretty hard to get that. And then it was just a matter of time before the riders had enough confidence in it to do that. Because the first thing they do, they get off the bike and they look at both tires.
Yeah.
And they see the graining and they're like, "Oh, that thing's done. I can't push."
Right.
But Hunter told us that it'll show some graining in one spot, but it actually keeps gripping. So I think that guys like Cameron Bobier maybe felt it more than they looked at it, or they didn't look at it at all. Might have been a good thing not to look at the tire. And I would ask, "How's the front tire?" "It's okay, but man, it's really torn up." Then they go, "Okay, maybe I was feeling that," and they can kind of talk themselves into it.
That's where the mental part of the game comes, right?
It's a very mental sport, absolutely.
Wow, I got some more comments coming in.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Trevor Watson says if it's contract year for Camp P and he somehow doesn't get the seat, who's the next guy? Can't even think of anyone who would even get that seat over here in Motor America.
We haven't even talked about it, honestly. We haven't even talked about it.
Yeah.
Contract time for everybody.
Yeah, the whole team, right? Like the team, both riders, everybody.
The crew.
We could all be fired. Wow.
I build Legos for the next 10 years.
Right. I seriously have a hard time believing that.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd like to believe that the program's going to keep going. I mean.
Well, there's some pretty positives coming out of Yamaha US, but I have nothing to add to that. It all depends on budgets and how they play the 3-dimensional chess over there with their monies.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they employ the riders, and we take care of almost everything else. But it really depends on them.
How about this? This guy, that Brennan guy, is commenting again, and he says, number one, will you have another open house at the shop, a tour, and break some hearts on the dyno sales, merch, etc.?
I was thinking about that. I
We
just
should
don't
do
know
that.
when.
That was fun, but it's
Yeah.
end of the
I mean,
season.
after COVID, the COVID thing kind of threw everything for a loop, didn't it? And then
Yeah.
it just never seemed to come back together. We're always playing catch up after that.
Right.
Since we've taken over the factory team, it's been very difficult to find any spare time.
Yeah.
Because you get to the winter and then you're already, starting to think about new stuff for the bike, and then you're testing and you're trying to improve.
Yeah.
And so it's like one long run from 20 on until now.
Right. And then let's see what else. Freddie Guerrero says that we should have putts. We should have a new putts T-shirt.
Yeah, you're a putz.
Or don't be a putz.
Don't be a putz.
Pinky wants to know if you guys are using
Anyone who thinks that Jake Gagne is not up to the task of being a champion is a putz.
Exactly.
That's all.
Yeah.
The guy that's called internet bravery.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Yeah. Putz shirt idea. Okay. Bearded Jixer again. He says, how do you approach turn 6 with setup?
Turn 6.
Yeah.
That was probably one of our least talked about corners.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So no matter what we did with the chassis, they never complained about turn 6. Other than the bump is still there. Remember you said, they took out the bump in 6? It's still there.
Yeah, it's still there. Like, is it still there? The dip is it still as deep?
I think Cameron and Jake said, I think it's even bigger.
Okay, well, that answers that.
So we know the jump from various riders in turn 1 is bigger.
Okay,
it's actually a jump now instead of a plateau, so it's like a peak, and the peak is closer to pit lane. So on the left of the corner, it's got more of a bump. However way they paved that, I don't know. Maybe they put a lump in it. Maybe the cars put a lump in it. I don't know. But the bikes can catch air over that thing. So the dip in 6 is still there. Some of the asphalt is higher than the curbing. So there's some places where you don't want to go on the curbing and then cut across because you could tuck the front.
That was weird. It looked like they reused the curbing.
They did.
Old curbing.
And apparently when they went over it with a roller, part of the roller was on the curbing, and so the asphalt ended up lumpy on the inside. Like imagine a tapered lump.
Okay.
All the way down to curbing. So the paving company did some silly shit. I don't know.
Wow.
Not that I'm a paving expert, but then they have that fast cure asphalt that apparently isn't so fast cure.
Yeah. I mean, I talked to Les Phillips from Buttonwillow about this, and he says that the paver dudes, they have no idea what the hell they're doing with regards to racetracks. They know how to do pavement, and they know how long it takes for it to cure, to like turn it up, open it up for freeway use, but not for racetrack use. You think?
I thought it was the same people that did Road America.
It is.
So,
it is.
So
same people are doing Buttonwillow next month.
Yeah, so I don't understand the difficulty because everyone was talking about how good Road America. I mean, that place was like, it was under a ice sheet. It was the great Arctic North. So
right.
How'd they get the pavement done there? They're complaining about weather problems and all stuff in Northern California. I don't get it.
Right.
I know we had some rain. I know that doesn't work well when you're trying to put asphalt down the wet, but.
Dude, maybe they should just have let Caltrans do it, right?
I know it's snowing in Wisconsin. So how did those guys pull it off and these guys didn't? I know Road America was closed for a while, though.
Yeah, I think these guys had a lot of construction going on with that bridge.
If Caltrans did it, all the bikes have flat tires and broken windshields.
Man, and the crew size, it would have taken 3 times as long.
Do we have any Caltrans fans out there?
I had probably, maybe, I don't know.
I don't know, near the shop here, they're redoing all the bridges and freeways, and man, I've had so many flat tires, it's unbelievable.
Oh man. Yeah, okay. So let's see here. There's some more comments coming in. Maurice Cotton says, looks like the
You
tire.
know, Maurice. Hey, Maurice, what's up?
Yeah, dude. That's
You know, I call Maurice undercover brother.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Why do you call him that?
Because he's black.
What? Get out.
Maurice?
Yes. No way. No, yeah, Maurice says it looks like the tires didn't come in until mid-race. I'd say that's pretty accurate.
Yeah,
Race-CRA.
yeah. That's accurate. You know, like Cameron did his fastest laps at the end, I think in race 2, right?
Yeah.
And when he was on Jake, and he pulled out some really fast laps at the very end.
Yeah.
And same thing with Jake. He did his fastest lap. So he did his fastest lap in the last lap. I mean,
race 3, yeah.
That R8 is a really good tire. It just, if that thing could grip on a shitty track, you know, it'd be the bomb. That thing offered so much grip, and it did not fall apart. The rear, the front was a whole different situation. You know, trying to find a front that would deal with that rear, and then we were using the hardest front, the R7.
Yeah.
And you know, we were shredding them, but the rear, I mean, there was no issues with the rear.
So
trying to get it to spin was the only issue.
So Tim P has a couple of questions too. He says, number one, can we calm down Cam P on the crashing? And then number two, is the BMW fear finally realized? Fear?
Can we calm down Cam on the crashing?
Yeah.
Yeah, you slow the guy down. Then what does that get you?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, we can tell him be smart, roll into it. He did it last year straight away at Road Atlanta, put the thing out in the fence in the first session. Remember that? So I think that's kind of his MO, to get a little bit hyped up and go for it in the first. So yeah, I mean, we told him to, hey man, roll into the weekend, and that worked good last year, right?
Yeah.
You know, he was on the podium a lot. You know, we finished 1-2 quite a bit, and so that's just work in progress. And what was the second question? Is the BMW fear finally realized?
Yeah.
I think the Cameron Beaubier fear has been realized. I don't know if there's any fear.
Right.
But
the realization.
I think you could put Cam Beaubier on a tricycle and he'd be running up front.
Right. Right.
I don't think it's got really much to do with the bike.
Yeah.
I mean, where's PJ? PJ's in the hunt for a podium. Usually, he's not usually at that same pace as Cam Beaubier. Right. So I don't know if I put it all on the bike.
You know what? I will say this. I walked up to the top of the corkscrew with Mark, and we were kind of watching Gagne, and okay. We noticed something. We noticed that the sound of Cameron's bike sounds a whole lot different than PJ's bike. It doesn't.
No, you can hear that. You can hear that on the front straightaway.
Man, it doesn't sound like the same motorcycle at all.
It doesn't sound like the same motorcycle.
I don't know what's going on there, but
Cameron's bike sounds like an F1 car, the old Screamers.
Yeah.
And PJ's bike sounds like a super stock bike coming by.
Right.
Sorry, PJ. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, and we sat up there for a whole session, so it was like, man, are you? Oh yeah, that's definitely Cameron, because it's different. You know, it was very obvious. It's very obvious.
Yeah, Michael Kiley, you know, I mean, he told me that they have supply issues.
Yeah.
Because apparently they had only one gas tank, and I offered to help them with any repairs if they needed it. Like we have some tools in the truck and things they may not have. I said, if you guys need some stuff, let me know. Unfortunately, they needed quite a bit more to repair that gas tank. Like they needed to cut it apart and
oh wow,
change panels on it and stuff like that. It was more than could be done on a race weekend, you know.
Yeah.
So I mean, we get along good. The team owner there and ourselves, and he seems like a stand-up guy, and you know, all those guys over there are good people, as far as I know. It's just competition.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yes. You mean you guys aren't like at each other's throats, like hate each other, you know?
No, not at all.
Well, I guess Moto America's
Cameron,
do a better job of drumming up bullshit.
Yeah, we had some stuff of Cameron's from before he started riding Moto 2. He built a bike, and it was like a Patronus thing, and he was going to go practice with it before he went to Europe.
Yeah.
And so we had this Petronas bodywork because he got race bodywork and some of our stuff. And so he asked us to bring it up. And I said, how's the new boy? And he's like, oh man, I wish he'd sleep some more. I said, no, don't get any sleep. I said, especially before the weekend, don't sleep at all.
Yeah.
So we still have a really, and there's no hate relationship there at all. It's just racing.
Right. Right. Here's something. Bob Adams wants to know, what does the exhaust valve like the Suzuki allow you to do? Do you want something like that? Is it that big of a difference, or is it just another tuning tool?
Exhaust valve, like what's on a stock bike,
Well,
or a MotoGP.
like the pair valve mod thing.
Oh, the pair valve. Well, that's so that thing's been illegal forever in everything but MotoGP. So MotoGP has, at least they used to. I don't know if it's currently that way. I think it's open, but they used to vacuum out the crankcase, and so what it does is it vacuums out the crankcase, and it allows the pressure to equalize between the top of the piston and the bottom of the piston. So it allows the piston to freely move downwards. That's the idea, anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, they do that in muscle cars. They have this thing, like a reed valve deal that goes in the pipe, and you weld it in, like right at the collector, and then your breather out of your oil pan or your crankcase goes into that, and it sucks the engine down. When we ran the CRT bike, that MotoGP bike we built, we ran one of those. It's worth a little bit of power, So, but it's always been illegal. Basically, Motor America gave the Suzuki team a license to cheat. Because it's been illegal, and it's illegal in World Supersport, World Superbike, Moto 2, Moto 3, only MotoGP. So whatever. It's kind of, they're trying to play the balance thing. They want more, they want more people running up front. They don't want to be a boring race, and I think it's working just by bringing better teams and better talent. So what do we realize? That the competition is eventually going to come.
Right.
You can't just show up with the same stuff every year and win. It's boring, right? So it's good the BMW team's there. It's good that Heron's riding that Ducati and is actually getting along with it, and the team. It's good that there's good racing. It's good that Escalante is catching up to the group.
Dude, that guy, he's impressive, man. I was like, wow, dude.
It was kind of sad watching the Suzukis in the way back getting beat by stock bikes. So yeah. I think it's good that they're up there. Whether it takes a pair valve or a big bore kit, who knows whatever else they're going to give them. I have no idea.
JU gave me a little shit on Friday and was like, "Hey, I saw this and thought."
No, you're talking to him again?
Kind of. But he sends me a screenshot of like his rider in front of us, on Friday.
Oh yeah, sure.
And I was like, "Oh, well, it looks like you guys finally got your shit together." So.
Escalante is going good. That's all I can say.
Man.
He went good at Road America. I don't know what he did at Barber. What was he at Barber? I don't know either.
I don't remember. Attention to that.
Yeah, but there's been a couple places he stood out. I like him as a person. I think he's a good rider. So I actually wish him the best of luck.
Yeah. Okay, so you know what? I mean, we've been kind of saving this for the end, right? But let's talk about. Well, first off, let's share that picture. Yeah.
Which picture?
Let's see here. Let me get there. Let's see. Is it that one? Yeah, I think it's this one. Yeah, here we go. Yeah. So this is. This is us.
Yeah, you look just like that ass.
Oh, right back at you, Shrek. All right.
Yeah. I'd rather have the green ears than be an ass.
Yeah, whatever, man. Whatever. Like there was another one where it's like he's got this big old goofy smile on his face.
Yeah, I'm sure.
It totally fit. But yeah, there you go. And you're the big, scary, grumpy looking guy that's actually not so grumpy. So
or scary.
Or scary, actually, yeah.
Maybe scary, I don't know.
So but yeah, we've had quite a few discussions about Motor America's application of rules this year. There was the the actively competing thing. That was
Oh yeah,
enforced.
they do a lot of apologies lately, or they're trying to explain themselves a lot lately, which is not a good place to be for them. When the fans are really bashing them, and then they're bashing the fans back, or they're trying to compete with the fans. And then I read this article. It's so disappointing. It was so condescending by Sean Bice. It was completely dumb. He was being stupid. You know, he's such a moron sometimes.
Wow, dude.
I'm serious, and Sean can listen to it because I didn't like it. You know, I mean, he made it sound like we were pouting in that stupid article. Like they're making their case. Not once did I walk up to race control and demand a change of policy or anything like that. Not once. And then they go out and write this stupid article. It's all condescending. Jake did 100 and some odd laps, and it's the same for everybody, and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, what a jerk off. You know, I wasn't happy about that at all. That pissed me off more than the actual penalty. The penalty is extreme. That's all I said.
Yeah.
And so Jake walks up to Nicole or whoever and says, how come you guys don't give a warning? You know? And she said, we don't have a system in place for that.
Yeah.
And then later on, she says, or he or whoever says, oh, it's a safety violation. So we don't have to give a warning for a safety violation. So which one is it? We don't have a system in place. So then I said to Jake, I said, they don't have a system in place. Well, they can tell you when you're meatballed. You know, they can tell you when there's a red flag. They can tell you when it's a checker. They can tell you when it's a white flag. Sounds like there's a system in place for communicating with the rider.
Right.
You know, what happened to that system? They can't afford another flag that says track limit, TL, T11. You know, I mean, it's all you got to do. Yeah. In MotoGP, they get 2 warnings, and then they get the penalty, the long lap penalty, or the time infraction, or whatever. And I don't think people understand why. I don't even know why Motor America put that deal there, because it's not unsafe there. I asked Greg White today, and I said, how many people in all the history have you been going to Laguna Seca? Name a person that hit that wall at turn 11. I'm sure maybe somebody can pop up and go, oh yeah, it was so-and-so from way back in the day, you know, on a 500 Grand Prix bike or something, or a 250, right. You know, that did some oddball thing. But I can't think of I mean, I've been going there since, I don't know, late 80s. I can't think of a single person that's hit that wall. And all of a sudden they put a green stripe there and say, you can't go past this thing. Why? Why did they come up with that? I have no idea. And then, you know, the thing that bums me out the most is they say it's a safety thing, but that rule wasn't even posted on their website until Thursday afternoon at 4 p.m. We were already off the racetrack on Thursday. So the riders had no idea about that green stripe, the paint lines, or anything. We were already on the racetrack. It was so dangerous. Why would they not tell us on Thursday before we rolled out? Why would they wait till after we were on the racetrack? It's dangerous. Aren't they putting the riders' lives at risk by that telling us how dangerous it is out there end of turn 11? Wow, I guess they don't care about us on Thursday or Tuesday. They only care about us when it's the last lap of the race.
Right.
And I was told too, I don't know if this is fact, but a number of guys went over that thing and didn't get punished, you know, in other races. So I don't know. I think Rick Hobbs, who's the race director, is a stand-up guy. He's always has good intentions for everything. Yeah. I think individually all the people are good, but I think collectively they come up with some silly-ass rules and they stick to it because that's the way we've done it always. Well, we used to have wooden wheels too. So now how about that? I mean, you know, the World Championship has these green paint, so we need green paint too. You know why the World Championship got green paint? Because they used to have grass, and it was actually dangerous on a MotoGP bike to be out in the grass at that speed. So they said, you know what? To be recertified, you have to asphalt the exit of all these corners. And so then they came up with a system to where if you went over, you can't use that for pure benefit. So it was actually more dangerous with the asphalt if you ran out there. So they put in these limits.
Right.
That way the guys weren't running way out there and coming back in. And the same thing in Formula One. They have the track limits with the cars because they don't want the cars going out there that far to bring it in because it's actually more dangerous. So the asphalt actually kept the guy. If the guy ran wide, you've seen it in MotoGP where somebody gets pushed out. He has to go way the heck out there and come back in. Well, guess what? If that guy was pushed out when it was gravel and grass, his race would be over. So that was a good way to keep the guys involved. I have no idea why they're doing that turn 11. You know, and for them to put it out on Thursday afternoon and then no emails to anyone telling us that this is it. Apparently, they had a rider meeting about the same time they put that thing out. It was put out at 1600. 1610 was the riders meeting. I looked at the document properties, and it was made by Stuart Higgs and whatever. I mean, that's the properties of that particular document. I don't know if Stuart Higgs wrote that thing. That's his who owns the document. Stuart Higgs is the guy who runs BSB, and he was with our series, I think, in 2018. So I don't know what's going on with the way they're making rules and all that stuff. We just try to abide by them all. Some of the stuff ridiculous, like 2 seconds. 2 seconds. If it's about safety, we should have had it before we rode on Thursday. The fact that no one's ever died there that I know of, or even crashed a bike there, doesn't sound like it's safety. Sounds like it's safety is a BS excuse for having that rule. I have no idea why they have that rule there. Other than it's green paint there, and we don't want you to go there.
And it's not like Jake was in it. Like he was on the it looked like he was on the white line side. Like
he was a little bit to the right of the white line.
Yeah.
And so if they want to be fair about it, if it's completely a deal where you're trying to make sure, like MotoGP, where nobody gains an advantage, they should give a warning. If they don't know how to make a flag, I'll sew them one up. You know, it's pretty easy.
Well,
to make a flag.
I mean, do you think that the things that have gone on this season are kind of exposing them to
they're not
those systems? You know what I'm saying? Well, hang on a second. Yeah. I'll give you a for instance, like the actively competing thing. Nicole said that they were talking about going to the next level up of MyLap's transponder thing. And, they would be able to track things, like that, what happened and the result of it definitely exposed them for something. Is that something similar here, do you think, where they'll have to, with that new transponder,
I don't know.
Send a warning on the dash or something, or like send at least to the dude's pit board, like, hey man, you could, like the, Canfield at the wall could be like, hey man, you stop doing that.
It'd be very, very easy for us to make a sign says limits T11 1.
Yeah.
Limits T11 2. Limits -2 or -0.2.
Right.
It'd be very easy for us to give that signal if those guys would communicate with us.
Right.
That's the biggest problem with Moto America is the communication. For them to put that thing out on Thursday after we're on the racetrack and all of a sudden, hey, guess what? At the race, you got a 2-second penalty.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, people go to the rider meeting. She might have said something. She might have not said something when she gives her thing. Rick Hobbs might have said something. Dan Organo, whoever else is out there might have said something. Our guy didn't hear it. John Cornwell goes there for us, and he takes diligent notes and comes back and briefs the riders and us. Ed from the Westby team didn't hear it. I guarantee a lot of other people didn't hear it. Maybe because there's like a couple hundred people there. So if you're not standing next to them, you may not get all of it. So it'd be really good if this would be a suggestion I make to them, some positive suggestions. Right. If you're going to have a rider meeting, why don't you send the summary of the rider meeting to everyone? Email it to them so they know. They're very good at emailing you the fine. Like if you get a fine for speeding, dude, I got that on my phone basically as I was walking back to our pit after the session was over. Right. By the way, you got fined $150. They can put that out so damn quick when they want their 150, but they can't put out a bulletin email to you. But they can tell you, hey, by the way, make sure you pay for your Live Plus subscription. Yeah. Oh, by the way, you need to sign up for Brainerd. It's today, or whatever else they send you. You get like 1,000 emails from those people. But you don't get the ones that are important. And it should go to the teams, owners, and the riders. So they know that, oh, by the way, look, there's a track limits thing, and it's going to cost me 2 seconds. So I don't have to be there.
Yeah. I mean,
for them to give no warning and then fall under that, that pretentious line of, oh, it's dangerous. It's total BS. It's what it is. And I wasn't going to make a big fuss over it, but that Sean Bice article really got me revved up.
I could tell.
No, I mean it's just silly. And then they go and they quote me on their I guess on their social, I don't even pay attention to their
Yeah.
stupid social, but they don't quote me, and then they start taking, like fire from fans, and then they have to answer every fan, is what I'm told. Some guys like, oh, that rule's BS. Well, our rider safety is not BS. Really? You think so? Then maybe we shouldn't ride in the rain ever. Maybe we shouldn't race because it's dangerous.
Wow.
It's unsafe to race. You could fall down. You get run over.
I think there should be a rule where everybody has to.
Was there a guy? Who was the guy that was? Yeah, exactly. And we already have airbag suits.
Yeah.
But I mean, the thing is getting so dumbed down. And we were just talking about this with Cam Peterson. I think it was Jake or something like that. We were joking around the truck about how dangerous the tracks used to be and how easy the guys have it.
Somebody's saying that we need to give you a Snickers.
That'd be worse. The problem is I just had one of these.
Of course you did. Of course you did.
Yes, I'm a little revved up. I won't go to sleep till midnight.
Oh,
but I mean, like I said, I didn't even go over there because I'm the mindset. You know what? It's their playhouse. They make the rules. But then as I start investigating it, I'm always like, hey, did we mess up? Did we not know what was supposed to happen there? Or, is that the way it was? And then it's like the rule was put out on Thursday after we were already on track. It doesn't make any sense to me. And there's 0 emails that notifies everyone. And if they think that everyone's going to hear it in a big crowd of 200 at a riders meeting, why not reinforce that with documentation? Why not send us some summary of the riders meeting before you get to the meeting? Because that way, or at least the agenda of the riders meeting. Hey, we're going to have a riders meeting. We're going to talk about this. If you have any questions, bring it up at the riders meeting. That way you can go there with your printout, your phone, whatever, your tablet, your laptop, and go ding, 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 ding. Hey, Nicole, what about this long lap penalty? Did we get a warning? No, you don't get any warning. You go straight to jail. Do not collect $200. Do not pass go.
Right. Wow.
I don't know. I hate calling people out, but it's what it is. I mean, and when they say idiotic stuff, I just got to say it's idiotic. And that whole deal with turn 11 is just dumb. What when they say, oh, you got the 2-second penalty, and Greg White goes, hey, Jason, do you want to comment on that? He goes, no. Jason says, you really want me to comment on that? I think Jason says on that because Jason Pridmore thinks all this crap's bullshit.
Oh yeah, most racers.
I'm not going to speak for him, but he could tell you himself. He thinks all these long lap penalties and all this. I rubbed against someone, so now I have to give up a position and all this stuff in MotoGP and World Superbike is really, really bad. I can understand World Superbike. Those bikes are really, really ridiculously fast, and it's pretty dangerous if the guys are going to bump and into each other and stuff. The speeds are crazy for those bikes now, but that's a whole different level. For us to want to be at the world level, they need to have a better system. Those guys have a dash that tells them exactly what's going on, and we have that same system. Motor America doesn't have that way of sending that information out. That's that next level that we talk about. The RF receivers and the RF system from MyLaps, where they could write a long lap penalty. We don't have anywhere to go a long lap penalty. We'd have to come in the pits for a long lap penalty.
Right.
So there's no such thing as a long lap for us. So they do these silly time things, and I think it just screws up the racing. But I'm not upset because it happened to us. I think it's the same for everyone. Everyone focuses on their own team. They don't think of the big picture.
Right. Well, like I said, it seems like Moto America is going to have to do some homework.
If they would just communicate better, that's all they need to do, and they need to be a little proactive. Like this Tuesday test, that was like we talked about. They were talking about taking a bike up there, a couple of bikes up there, and run around the racetrack. And all of a sudden, it was an emergency, and we had to literally drop what we're doing, throw everything in the semi, and run up there to do their Tuesday test on the 4th of July. And I had to race back so I could do the fireworks thing at home. So here I am driving with no sleep all the way back, racing back to the house because I wanted to go up and make sure that we were able to race. And then we had to load the stuff back up and drive back up there on Wednesday. And then, we got an emergency track session on Thursday. So now we got to get ready for that. So we had to rush and do that.
Right.
So it just seems like they're always behind the 8 ball. Especially with these types of rules where they put it out on a Thursday. Why can't they put that shit out a month ago? They know they're racing in Road America. They say, Laguna Seca. They said, oh, we've been doing that forever. Okay, why not put that out with the supplemental regs when the thing comes out? Tells you where to pick up your packages. Why not put it out with that? Dan Organo or Rick Hobbs and this and that. They got all the names there and phone numbers and packages and stuff. Why not put that piece of paper out there? And then I wanted to share that document with you and our 1.3 fans, and I just want to show you something that's kind of funny in that document.
Yeah,
right?
man.
They talk about safety.
Share away.
Yeah, let me see your screen. Which one is it? This one. Okay, so let's see. So you see where they have this thing. This is like something that I think Higgs or somebody did way back, because this isn't the current track. That green, I think, is a little bit different now. It doesn't go out that far.
Yeah,
but so they say in this document. Okay, I'm gonna read it. They say riders must not ride on the green after the solid white line in the exit of T11. Here, can't ride there. But you can ride on the green here, right? Okay. Riders who exceed will have a 2-second penalty. So this is a one line rule, right? One line, whatever, and they put it out here 1600 on 7/6, and this document was actually finished being typed up as 1602 according to the properties in the document, because you can pull that shit up, right? So look at the skid marks from the car. This is the funny part to me. The car goes in here and spins out and skids off in the green you can ride on, right? It goes in the wall. That's a car right there. So basically, you could ride on this and skid off on the wall, but you can't ride on the straightaway here when you're running against the wall here. And then we asked, because this line, see that line right there?
Yeah.
Goes all the way around to turn 2. That line is quite a bit farther away from the wall than it used to be. So we asked, hey, can you ride on the right side of the line? And they said yes. So I don't get why you can't exit this corner and run down the wall if you can ride on the wall on this side. You see what I'm saying? This is so inconsistent. I'm sure if they were here to defend themselves, they'd come up with a reason. But it doesn't make any sense to me. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You can ride on the green here where you could crash and hit the wall, right? Just like this car did, right? The skid marks here. So you can crash here, high side, hit that wall, right? But you can't ride on the green here, but you can go around the green and then you can go back to the wall over here. It's just silly. It doesn't make any freaking sense whatsoever. But if you do magically touch this green, you know what it is? You know how a lot of people play the video games? Can I stop sharing this now?
Yeah, go ahead. You're fired up, man.
When people play video games and you get the pot of gold and all of a sudden you accelerate or whatever, right?
Yeah.
I think if you touch that green, you get a 2-second jump in time.
Oh.
So they got to take the 2 seconds back. All of a sudden, Jake might get this massive energy surge in the bike because he touched that green there. Just like a video game.
Wow, man. Like you went full circle into the video game realm this time. That's great.
I did? Okay. I didn't know if I started with video games.
No. That's
anyway,
hilarious. So Maurice says some things never change.
No, I just don't understand what. Again, I wasn't even going to bring this stuff up until Sean wrote that stupid article. And all the stuff they were doing in social media, arguing with the fans. It's like, why are they trying to defend themselves?
Well, it doesn't seem like they're trying to defend themselves. It seems like, I talked to a couple of writers about this, and it just seems like they should, if they're going to make a decision, go ahead and make the decision, man. But it looks like they're trying to artificially have or induce fan engagement, and by interacting with the fans to piss them off more and get more engagement. That's what it seems like they're trying. It seems like they're trying to be a fucking YouTuber.
I don't know if that's the case. I think they're trying to explain themselves. And they're making it worse.
Right.
They should just do the penalty and let it lie instead of going out there and trying to explain themselves and all this other stuff. Because we wouldn't have made such a big fuss over it. They weren't making a fuss over it, writing silly articles, condescending ones. Well, so same for everyone.
I didn't see the article.
The way the article,
I saw the social media.
Read it. The way I took it was that we were asking for special permission not to be penalized. That's the way it kind of sounded. and it was a little bit cocky, and shame on him. That's all I got to say.
Wow, dude. Yeah,
I'm not here to defend him. I don't care.
No, I if that's the way you feel, that's what you feel, man. Like, I mean, I didn't read the article. I saw the social media, and I thought that.
You know what Wayne Rainey said? Let racers race.
Yeah,
that's what he said. He's the president of Motor America.
Right.
Like, I think that. I mean, I don't know how to. I'm not going to tell those guys how to run their business. You know, we're just there to put on the show. We're the clowns that pay to be at the circus. That's all. You know, most clowns get paid to go to the circus. We have to pay to be at the circus.
Right. Lots of money to be at the circus. This is like expensive.
Yeah. It's a very, very expensive clown habit.
Right. Wow, man. So. And
sorry, Maurice, for calling Undercover Brother, but I thought it was funny.
I knew it was funny. That's why I was like, what?
No, I put on his hard card, actually. I put on his hard. He's probably driving a semi somewhere right now because that's what he does. Hopefully he's finishing up, because I probably shouldn't say it, but he really doesn't like his trainer.
Oh.
I probably got him in trouble. Sorry, Maurice.
His trainer's probably sitting next to him. What do you mean, man?
I got him a hard card last year where his picture was straight out of what was the name of that movie? Was it Undercover Brother, right?
Undercover Brother, yeah.
Yeah. I got him his picture of the Undercover Brother. That was his picture on his hard card. That's pretty funny.
Oh, so Proto is asking about what do you think about the inline 4 versus the V4 engine World Superbike? I don't know what question you were wanting me to ask, Proto.
Probably the Ducati versus the rest of them. I think they're all inlines except for the Ducati. I mean, Aprilia's not there anymore.
Right.
And so, I mean, the Ducati's like a double odd fire. So it's odd, and then they got a weird V. So they get some more odd off the V. I mean, looks fast. It's cool. Batista, but again, you know, it's like Bobier and the BMW, B&B, and Batista and the Ducati.
Right.
You know, so it's like the one guy does such a good job that everyone thinks, oh man, it's such an unfair advantage, or the other bikes are just done or whatever. I know the Top Rack's riding his ass off to stay with that thing, but no one's able to stay with him, right? Because Batista's doing good. So where are the other Ducatis? Behind Top Rack, right?
Yeah.
Where are the BMWs? Behind Top Rack.
Oh, here's one for you. You're gonna love this.
Yeah.
What's the best motor? No money limit.
No money limit?
The best motor. If money is no object. Motor.
I don't know. It depends on the class. I mean, probably one of the latest Formula One hybrids. I mean, they cost $1 million each. I'd want one of those. No money limit.
There you
They have
go.
exotic parts everywhere. I mean, they have some multi-material pistons and hollow titanium rods, and I think they actually, you know what? I think they started putting weight limits and all that stuff, so they pull back some exotics. And so I don't know. They're talking about motorcycles?
Yeah.
Or any engine.
Well, I was kind of going there with you because I know the motor engine thing with you.
Yeah, I know. A lot of guys say motor all the time. And the F-22 jet engine, probably, you know, be pretty cool to own.
There you go.
If I know all that money.
I hear this guy says he hears talk that Yamaha may replace the R1 with a V4.
There was talk at Yamaha?
That's what he says.
He knows more than I do.
Yeah.
I'm the end user, you know. I mean, I'm just like everybody else. They just supply us with riders and some bikes and parts and stuff.
Right.
You know, and we give them the info. We glean, and we try to work with their guys as much as possible. And a great bunch of guys, by the way, at Yamaha. Much more organized than Motor America. They actually tell you in advance what's happening. More than a day's notice.
Man. Yeah, they plan. They plan for things, right? The thing is, like, I think shit has happened this year that, you know, there are things that have been in the rule book for a long time. Like Nicole said something about that shit being, that green paint thing being there for 4 years. I don't know.
Yeah, somebody asked her, but you know, that's the thing. It's like, why?
Right.
Why is it there?
Right. But what I'm saying
You
is, I wonder if they
safety?
realize that it's there and they're having to go to it, knowing it's in the, now that they found it in the rule book, they have to go by that, and it's exposing the fact that they maybe need to take a look at.
But it's not in the rule book. It's on a supplemental bulletin.
Uh-huh.
You know, I mean, that bulletin wasn't put out, and basically, for all intents and purposes, the way Laguna has been repainted, done all this stuff, nothing's really exactly the way it was.
Okay.
So we don't know what's happening until we get the bulletins.
Okay.
You know what I mean? You show up to us, it's a new racetrack.
So you need a guy that his entire job during the race weekend is to make sure he reads the bulletins.
Yeah, it'd be really nice if they sent it to us the same way they send us our invoices. You know, because they can find our email just fine when they send the invoices. I mean, when they want us to sign up for the year and they want that $8,000 check per rider, you know, they want that money now. You know, so I don't know. I hate to make an us and them thing, because I like racing Motormare. I think it's a good series. I think it needs a little bit of spit shine. You know, maybe it needs a little bit of change as far as, I don't know, I hate to say it, but maybe whoever's, you know, operating the thing needs to let somebody else do it. I don't know. Wow. Just why are we doing it so last minute? You know, it gets under my skin, the whole thing. Like, I don't like surprises. I hate surprises.
Well, everything when it gets done at the last minute, like, it becomes an emergency, right?
Yes, the whole thing's been an emergency. Damn, my gardener's here, making noise.
Wow. Well, so what's the next plan? What, you know, next round of racing is going to be a few weeks away, right? It's a while.
Yeah, Brainerd, Minnesota, a nice shitty bumpy track. If Cameron beats us there, it's going to be really hard, I think, because then you have Coda, which has pretty decent grip, and then after that, it's New Jersey. Pittsburgh. I mean, the Yamaha's always gone good there. New Jersey has always been really good for the Yamaha. It's been a Yamaha track forever.
Right.
PJ was on pole last year on the BMW, if you remember right.
Yeah.
He pulled one out, but he didn't do anything in the race. The difference is with Cameron is the guy's a racer.
Yeah.
Whatever he does on one lap, he'll do it for all the laps.
Right. Right.
And Jake's a racer too. No matter how much the Putz wants to discount him, he's going to be right in there.
Oh, he absolutely will. I mean, you guys have pretty much owned Brainerd.
Yeah, Pittsburgh's another triple header.
Yeah. Okay.
And I don't know how many long lap penalty type things they're going to come up with, because they don't have any long lap penalties. So I don't know what other penalties they're come up with. I probably said enough now that they're probably going to try to throw some more crap at us.
Maybe. Well, you know, like Nicole actually said it in defense of the series, but she was saying that, so yeah, you guys are right. We put this out 4 years ago, knowing that we would use this penalty.
Gardner, shut the hell up.
We would use this penalty on Jake 4 years later to cost him 4 points.
Yeah, I don't know. You know, it's yeah. You have to repeat that, because that Gardner was over here mowing.
Yeah.
Away.
So, you know, Nicole said something to the effect of, you know, like, oh yeah, like, we really had a conspiracy to create this rule in 4 years ago, knowing that Jake would cross it 4 years later and it would cost him 4 points.
Well, see, that's exactly the kind of talk which is crap. That's exactly it. Why does she have to be condescending and sarcastic like that? You know, no one said this was a conspiracy, unless the fans did.
I think the fans were basically.
If this happened to HSBK guys, yeah, Bobby and those guys would be up there raising hell. If this happened to the Westby guys, Chuck Giacchetto, his head would explode.
Chuck's head explodes for less than that, dude.
Yes. Yes, but what I'm saying is,
I think she was responding.
This happened to us.
Yeah.
And Jake was really pissed, and Jake didn't understand why, and why it was such a big offense, and it cost us 4 points. Yeah. I get that. And it could cost us the championship if it comes down to 4 points. I get that.
Yeah.
And Jake rode his ass off to put himself in that second place. He rode his ass off to come from behind. You know, he was like in 5th or 6th spot at one point.
Yeah.
And they did.
He was
We
3
didn't make a
seconds
big
down,
fuss
running
over
the
it.
guys down. Yeah.
We didn't make a big fuss over it, but here goes Nicole.
I think
being
Nicole
all
was
sarcastic.
well. To be fair, Nicole was responding to a fan that was basically accusing Moto America.
Yeah, but why should be?
There were
Yeah,
ticky tack bullshit to try to make it so the team that's won the #1 plate forever doesn't win. Like that's.
But she doesn't have to put out all sarcasm. She doesn't have to respond to that if she's responding to it.
That right there.
You know, I mean, they don't have to respond to it. They're supposed to be a professional organization. If you said that shit about, I don't know, Budweiser, do you think the president of Budweiser or the COO of Budweiser is going to get on and start, oh yeah, blah blah blah, sarcasm?
Right.
Oh, didn't Bud Light have a problem? They lost 25% of their market share.
I don't know. I don't drink, dude.
Yeah, I don't know. Something about some transgender thing or another.
I don't know. I don't drink.
And they got a lot of grief too. I'm pretty sure the president of Bud Light, if that's a separate company, didn't get on and start, typing back. Why don't they concentrate on getting their shit together and give us enough headspace, enough warning on all this stuff, get us all the information in advance so we can all play by the rules we think that we know.
Right. Instead
of doing it through the weekend. Like, oh, by the way, you can port your heads. Oh, by the way, here's a 2-second penalty. Oh, by the way, how about get us all that stuff in advance?
Competing, right? Actively.
Oh, by the way, you were actively competing. Oh, sorry, you screwed that up.
But those other two guys weren't actively competing. But you know what? We're going to go ahead and let them go because we didn't see it.
Exactly.
Yeah. There's a lot of tick-tacky bullshit like that this year. It's disappointing.
Yeah.
It's confusing. It's confusing to the fans. It's confusing to the teams. It's confusing to the riders, obviously. Like, man.
But they always fall back on safety.
Yeah.
And, this is the reason. And if that doesn't work, sarcasm. So, I didn't want to even go down this path, but they kind of forced me to.
Apparently, I'm being told that we're on 14th gear at 15,000 RPMs right now.
Yeah, I hate to be this negative about the series, which I like, because there's a lot of good people there. And like I said, Wayne thought the rules bullshit.
Yeah.
He wanted riders to ride. He's the president.
Well, I'm sure there's conversations that have been had if they haven't already.
Well, I don't know. He's kind of a little bit hands off. That's the thing. He's a little bit hands off. So I wish he was more hands on.
Yeah.
When I talked to him about the fuel situation, that was another thing that I talked to him on Tuesday about, because he showed up and he was adamant that we're going to have this race on Tuesday. It was still in the air.
Yeah.
Can you imagine all the people were flying? I mean, it was a real situation. The county didn't want to run the race because they were scared. So they had to put bikes on track to show that we weren't going to damage the track any worse. Right. And so he came up and talked to me. How's it going? This and that. And I said, hey, man. I said, I always had the confidence that you were going to be able to pull this off because they got the track named. They have a corner named after him.
Right.
Turn 9 is Rainy Corner.
They got his fucking picture on the hillside on the way up the place.
Yeah. So if anybody was going to make that happen, it was going to be Wayne Rainey. I mean, he lives in Monterey. What else are we going to talk about? So I knew the race was going to go down. We're doing all we can to invest money in going up there and, getting the riders up there, getting some crew over there and taking the semi back and forth. All that stuff costs money. It's not free. It's not free. It costs a lot of money. And we go up there and do this thing, and then they got to throw out all the sarcasm, this shitty ass article by Sean Bice. It's so disappointing. So disappointing. Like, again, if it was any other team, those guys would have lost their marbles over that thing.
Right.
But we were cool about it. Jake wasn't happy about it, but you know what? He'll get over it. We were cool about it. I think it's a dumb rule. I hope he takes that. I hope he takes it and just smashes the shit out of everybody at Brainerd. Well, it's possible. It's possible. We'll have to see how it goes. We got to do our part to make sure it ends that way. So anyway, so I was talking to Wayne about the fuel, and I said, Wayne, so we got chatting, and I said, man, it sure be nice if they allowed a little higher level fuel in the series. He goes, what do you mean? Like, he didn't have much input on that or much info. So I gave him some information, and I know for a fact, talking to some of the VP insiders that we're on a second tier fuel. So we don't have the same spec as the World Superbike guys use, even though it's supposed to be. But they have a couple tiers, and we're on a lower tier because they're always cry about money. They always bring up this, it's got to be fair and it's got to cost very cheap, and all this kind of stuff. Well, $13 a gallon versus $20 a gallon. What's that? $7 a gallon difference. Most guys use one barrel. So do the math. What is it? Like an extra $100 for the weekend? Really? You can't afford that to make sure your bike doesn't get hurt and last longer if you have a better fuel? So I talked to Wayne about that, and he's very receptive. But I think there's a number of different levels below him that have to, they're hurdles. They're just hurdles. People that don't either understand, or they have this club race mentality. It's got to be fair. Like, they wanted to have like 20 people out there on Tuesday, and the county's like, no, 8. No, we need to bring everyone there to try it on Tuesday. The track was dirty as hell. We probably would have had a bunch of guys smash up over there. Like, it was, Jake came in a little bit white-faced after the first session. He goes, that track was screwed. That's what he says.
No, that time was like 29s. Like, he was doing 29s.
Are you kidding me? No, not 29s. Try 33s and 34s.
33s. Oh, shit.
32.
I guess I was looking at live timing and I saw 29. I was like, oh.
That was later on.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Yeah. Bryce Prince.
At 29, dude, I was like, shit.
That was good. The first hour. If you did 29, you're like, whoa, superhero.
No
it was all in the 30s.
Okay.
And then slowly chipped away, and by 1 o'clock, Jake was able to do a 24.9 or 24.8 or whatever it was. And we left with that. Like, the track started coming in. We started figuring out the air pressures. We were able to get some information with Dunlop, all that. Still didn't get a chance to run the race tires. But point is, sometimes they have some unrealistic things going on in the series. And a lot of times they don't treat it like a top-level professional series. They treat it like a club race. And that's the part that irks me a lot. What's an extra $100 for a barrel of gas? When you're driving cross country and flying a bunch of crew in, and you're buying $7,000 in tires, what's an extra $100 to save your engine? It's nothing. It's really nothing. But they make such a big fuss over it that they piecemeal the thing down to such a dumb level. And a couple of years ago, they were talking about dumbing down the Superbike class and getting rid of electronics and doing. Remember that whole thing? We had a big blowout with that.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that Ducati team wouldn't have been here. Who knows, the BMW team would be here.
Right.
So it worked out just by staying the status quo. Consistency really, really works, because then people have a chance to build up to it. You get more people in the class by being consistent. If you have one set of rules and people can build their bike to that set of rules, they can buy a set of forks now and buy a set of forks next year. Buy the electronics, and amortize them out.
Using Max Flinders as an example, right? Like, that dude started out with a stock 1000 bike, and he's kind of gradually building up his Superbike program.
He's got forks, he's got calipers, he's got a swing arm, his bike looks pretty good. And that came over time. But if you're flopping the rules around every 5 minutes, people don't know what to do, and they get discouraged.
Right.
So anyway, we digress, right?
Yeah. Yeah. All right, so you are you planning any special hot engine stuff or for the next round, or
No, we can't trust what we're putting in the tank.
Yeah.
We got to keep our nose clean. We need to finish.
Okay. So it's all set up, basically, trying to make the tires.
The setup makes a huge difference. Of course. Sometimes you get the track, and here's one of the things that we're running a little bit over here, but sometimes you need to have the synergy between the data guy and the chassis guy, because a lot of people think like this was a big deal at Laguna, and why we kept ramping up to it is, and same we saw at Atlanta. Atlanta first race looked like our bikes weren't that quick. Next race, even Greg White and Jay Spridmore are like, wow, they found some speed in those Yamahas. Right. We didn't change the engine. What we did was we were combining the chassis and electronics a little bit better. If the bike is wheeling a lot in one spot, you got to say why. Right. Yes, you can kill it with electronics. I think people are so used to these days just typing on the keyboard and fixing the chassis with their electronics, and they make a slow motorcycle. Oh, it's got a lot of spin, it's got a lot of wheelie. I can fix that. Here, a little less spin, it's right in the window, 12%, 14%, 20%, whatever the hell you want for a rear steer bike. Oh, it's perfect. And then the guy's walking away from you, and the rider goes, man, I'm getting killed. I have no power. Well, it turns out you never made a chassis go forward. You just slowed the bike down by letting it only spin so much.
Right.
Right. So how about you go back to the old school way of before we had all the electronics and try to work on the chassis a bit? You know, ask yourself, is it chassis? Is it electronics? You know, so we've done at Laguna, Road Atlanta, is try to bring those two parts of our team together. You know, Marshall on the electronic side, John on the suspension side, me on the dynamic side. So there's three guys in there, and we want to bond those pieces, those elements together a little bit better. And that's what makes the speed. Whenever you hear the engine cut, you know, or retard itself, or the throttle power back, that's like a 20 or 30 horsepower hit loss. You know, you hit the traction control hitting, that's 20 or 30 horsepower.
Wow.
You have to work really hard to make an engine that has 20 or 30 more horsepower. But you don't have to work hard to make an engine use that 20 or 30 horsepower you have. You understand?
Yeah. Yeah. That's crazy.
It's really easy to dumb down a bike. Really easy to make it go slower. That bike doesn't spin the tire at all. Yeah, you know, a little tiny 250's going by you.
Right.
Yeah. So anyway.
Well, it's been fun. This has been a fun chat, Richard.
Yeah.
I kind of figured it'd be colorful, but I didn't see the. Now I'm gonna go see the Vice article.
I don't know. I mean, it just irked me because maybe I took it personally. I don't know. You know, I said
I'm surprised that I'm surprised that you got so fired up about it. You know, I mean, you're not usually one to take shit personal. So I was like,
well, people started sending me like little screenshots. I'm like, what are they talking about? Because I don't even pay attention to social media. Because I'd probably drive to somebody's house and shoot them in the face. You know, I really don't need these social media. That's not my thing.
Wow. That's crazy.
You said what? I'll be driving to your house.
I mean, wow, dude. Yeah, I hear you, man. I like I said, I've known you for a long time. I've never seen you take something personal like that. So
I don't.
Yeah.
But I was getting so much stuff, so like, let me read this thing real quick. I don't even want to read it. Then the first thing I see on the headline, it's the same for everybody.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that's just like the sarcasm.
Right.
You know? And they don't think they're doing anything out of the ordinary, but they don't understand what they're saying. And I said, I messaged him, I go, that was quite the condescending article. Shame on you.
Bearded
and he said it wasn't meant to be.
Bearded Jixer just texted me the article.
Yeah. Some of our guys read it and they thought the same thing. They go, wow. You know, that's quite pointed.
Yeah.
You know, like, shut up, you get what you deserve kind of thing.
Yeah, how dare you win everything for years?
What's that?
How dare you win everything for years?
I mean, that's the thing, right? When you're on top, everybody wants you to lose.
Right.
It's what it is. Not everybody, but you know, people want to see a change of the guard, right? Like, I wouldn't want Joe Biden as president next year. Yeah.
I didn't know. Change of the guard. Yeah. So I mean, this isn't that show.
Have I pissed off just about everybody today?
You know what, man? Like, I think it's great.
I pissed off all of America. I pissed off every liberal. I pissed off. I don't know. Let me go down the list. Pissed off the Putz guy.
The Putz guy for sure got pissed off.
Yeah, I probably pissed off the guy that's driving with Maurice. I think I did absolutely. Him too. Yeah. So I think I pissed off a lot of people.
John.
Chiquetto, Bobby.
Well, dude, Chiquetto, like I said, Chiquetto can lose his mind over nothing. You know, he can lose his mind because he's hungry, right?
Yeah, I've seen him. I've seen him hungry. It's not good.
Hangry, right?
Yeah.
But he's a good dude. He just, you know, loses his shit. He
he's funny as hell.
He lost his shit on me a couple years ago. I was like, whoa, dude.
I know. I told him shut the hell up. But, you know, he's funny as hell until he gets on a show with you and he's boring as hell.
Okay, here we go.
We always finish the show with him.
Oh, absolutely, man. Absolutely. Well, all right,
Yeah.
man. Well, I wish you the best
I'm
of
gonna
luck.
drink water before I go home.
Yeah, you probably should, man. I think you've had a little too much of that Starbucks. You know.
Yeah, glitter bucks.
Yeah, man.
I pissed off transgender people too, by the way, because I said something about
Rainbow.
Bud Light,
Yeah.
Bud Light or something. I
Maybe.
don't know.
Maybe.
I probably pissed off the VP of Bud Light.
All right. So wish you the best of luck at Brainerd, man. And I guess I'll see you in a couple weeks, maybe.
All right,
I'm
man.
gonna
We'll
try
see
to
you.
scumbag you into coming out and riding.
I don't know.
No?
Just too busy.
All right, man.
All right, we'll see you
See ya.
later.